Welcome back to another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren,
And I'm Tucker.
and it's Monday again.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's going to leave a weird gap for you to cut out. So I'm in my room this time because, like, typically when I would do in the kitchen, like, I liked doing it there. That way I'm not just sitting the whole time.
Sure.
But because it's getting lighter and lighter in the evenings, I wanted a more controlled source of light, so I'm able to use like my ring light. And with my kitchen, all I do is just turn on the actual kitchen light. But
Mm-hmm.
because the back window is also still light out, can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No. That's that. I mean, that's a good reason to do it, I guess. Lighting is always so hard, especially when you rely on the sun. And even if you
Yes.
rely on the sun, you really just rely on windows. 'Cause it's amazing how bright the sun is. Being as it
Yes.
is so far away, it's incredible how bright the sun is, and just how much different sunlight is from artificial synthetic light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because one of the fun instances of like natural lighting versus artificial lighting is when I was recording my Tom Lear video. I did it once just at my dining room table with the ring light, and then I had to take a break. And then when I came back to do other things and I like shot the later parts of it, it didn't match lighting wise
Right.
because I was using natural light at that point. I'm like, well, I may as well go back and refilm the parts that didn't have natural light
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of get consistent light, because lighting and color grading is a thing that I don't totally get. I'm barely grasping audio mixing so that people don't have to adjust their volume within the video itself.
Sure.
But people who are like, oh, that has bad color grading, I'm like, let me take notes. What is color grading?
Yeah. No, I don't really know like the correct way to color grade. I just do it until it looks good or it looks the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And
don't know.
I'm I'm curious how much issues like color grading or sound just gets corrected with better and better equipment. Like,
So
because
color, yeah, color definitely does.
yeah,
So it first off, color spaces are very weird. Especially the way you try to compress color to get away with a whole bunch of stuff, like smaller file sizes and lower bit rates. For example, there's a technique called chroma subsampling that basically takes the color space and like, from what I understand, it basically kind of like just segmentizes it. It lowers the resolution of the color space, which is most times imperceivable. But when you're working in like when you want to color grade things, then you definitely want all of the color information to be there. You also have color space where sometimes you film in color spaces where it's not linear, so it compresses the very dark darks and the very bright brights. Right, it compresses those so it doesn't clip them off, because you only have so much data width. So in terms of color, like if you are able to film in like logarithmic space, you definitely should, because then you get more versatility in post where you can recover some of the highlights and some of the shadows. But when it comes to audio, that's a lot easier to screw up, I think, because if you if you record something and it's clipping the entire time, there is nothing you can do about it. You cannot save that in post because it's clipping. If it's too noisy or there's too much echo, you can throw as many plugins as you want at something. It's not going to sound correct. You can improve it, but it won't sound good. So yeah, sound is one of those things where you can throw a lot of money at it, but it has a lot to do about the environment, and throwing money at the environment is probably what you would want to do.
yeah. I've recorded a couple videos where once I had a microphone, I tried to not use whatever default audio came with the device as much as I could. And I think for one of my videos, the microphone, for some reason, I had it set to the wrong volume to record at.
Hmm.
And so it had so much echo and bounce because I set it like in the middle of my living room, and my living room has a big, like, A-frame ceiling. So
Oh
it
yeah.
caught so much bounce. But the weird part was, is my phone actually caught better audio than the microphone was because it was closer to me, and it wasn't catching the entire room.
Right. Yeah. I think, and I don't know if phones will do this in like while they're recording, but they have like multiple microphones on them, and they'll beamform, so they can noise cancel and maybe even get rid of some of those reflections. But yeah, echoey audio, reverb, it's such a nightmare. I hate it
Yeah.
so much, and there's no
No.
good way to get rid of it.
No. No. And part of my problem starting out when I was first using microphones is I would record at a really low volume because I didn't want it to pick up ambient sound. But then I would forget to like raise the volume in post.
Mm.
And so the whole thing would just be quiet and it'd be impossible to hear. Um, but then there would be like filters within the editing program itself. Like if I did record it too loud, that would supposedly remove background noise. But it just made the actual dialogue sound really distant and
Yep.
it's weird.
Yep. Yeah. Noise reduction algorithms have come a long way, but even artificial intelligence algorithms, they do an okay job, but
Yeah,
it's certainly no substitute from a noiseless environment, which is very hard to come by.
it is, especially when a lot of mics have to be plugged into computers. And if you're running a lot of other stuff at the same time, your computer's loud. It's going to pick up on stuff like that.
100%, 100%. The computer down here, even if I turn the fans down all the way, it's still audible. I can hear it through my headphones right now. Just on the other side of the door over there, I have a server rack, and those aren't designed to be even a little bit quiet. Um, and in everyone's home, you know, there are hard walls,
Mhm.
so many hard surfaces. Even carpet doesn't help. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. And like it's warm enough here that I don't have the AC on because
oh
that can be
god,
really loud.
yeah,
And I would be sitting directly underneath it. So
yeah, yeah. That's AC appliances,
yes,
refrigerators.
refrigerators.
Ah,
Why are they so loud?
because they're air conditioners.
I mean, yeah.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I once was planning on filming while my dishwasher was running because I'm like the end of the cycle is not that loud, and then I forgot that the first like 30 minutes of a dishwasher cycle is really loud.
yeah. It's yeah. I don't know. I've come across some quiet dishwashers though. It's like, how are you doing that? What's the magic? And you're getting things clean too. Like
Yeah.
I have a very loud dishwasher, and partially because I repaired the dishwasher myself, and something's rattling, and I don't want to go back in there. So it got louder after I touched it. Um, but like some of the newer dishwashers are just so whisper quiet. And it's like you have a water pump and you're hitting things inside with water and they're gonna rattle. Nothing's solid in a dishwasher. How? How? Explain, dishwasher. Explain.
Yeah. And like some appliances because they're behind doors are a little bit quieter. Like my dryer and my washing machine are behind a door,
Mhm.
but they're still a little loud. My microwave, apart from the beeping at the end, the microwave is really quiet.
Yeah.
I lucked out in that department. But I mean, for the most part, I'm not running a microwave for an hour while trying to film things. So
I always get unnerved when I see like recipes or things on the back of boxes that have you microwave something for just an absurd amount of time, because I usually only microwave things to reheat them. And so when I like those vegetables that come in the bag and you just put the bag in the
oh
microwave and
yeah,
it steams them. And it's like,
yeah.
4 minutes, 5 minutes. And it's, my God. How?
I'm more okay with vegetables being microwaved for 7 minutes than I am with like entire meals where it's like you're gonna put this in the microwave for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so,
That feels
where
like
does all the
too
heat go?
much. Yeah. And I was thinking about it the other day because I'm like, well, I mean, maybe someone doesn't have an oven and they literally only have just a microwave. But I'm like, where do you live that it doesn't come with an oven?
I don't know.
I've not encountered a house that was so unfurnished it didn't come with an oven.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Hmm. But
And like
still,
most apartments come with an oven and not a microwave.
right? Yeah. But to put something in a microwave for like on the order of 20 minutes, about that time. That's just so that's so much. That's so much time in the microwave. Cuz after
Yeah.
like 4 minutes water will boil, won't it? Like
Yeah.
that's how you get steamed vegetables. After 30
Yes.
seconds your pizza slice is, lukewarm. I don't For 20 minutes are we like cooking a whole chicken? Can you cook a whole chicken in a microwave? I assume you can, but what would it be like?
Yes. Yeah. There are entire books about like it's usually like dining for one. That's like the whole shtick with it. And it's cooking a whole meal in the microwave. And it's not living life to the fullest.
No, no, it's not, but
Because
it's convenient.
it is convenient, but I'm like, how much more convenient could it be? Because if you're having to microwave something for 20 minutes, what's the difference between like letting your oven preheat for like 4 minutes, putting something in the oven for, however long, maybe 20 minutes as well? Like, microwave texture is not going to compete. It's probably not going to be as warm or warm in such a way that it doesn't have the same consistent temperature throughout.
Okay, so you said something first off. Your oven preheats in 4 minutes. That's impressive. That's pretty quick.
I actually don't know how to preheat my oven, and I don't know how long it takes for mine because it doesn't beep when it reaches temperature. It's a gas oven,
Mm-hmm.
so I just have to like open the door and go,
Seems hot.
probably 450.
Uh, yeah, okay, all right. And do you wait for the preheat to complete before inserting the food?
You're allegedly supposed to.
I don't buy that.
I mean,
Why? Why?
I don't know. I think it's so it's not still coming up to temperature while you're cooking things, and so like the first 4 minutes of your cooking, maybe it's not at the correct temperature, so you're losing that time, so it may not be done. Or by the time you reach the end, it'll be done more so on the outside than the inside.
That last part doesn't make any sense. Of course, it's going to take more time if you're going to put something in before the oven's to temperature, right? That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
But for the outside to be more done than the inside, wouldn't that make sense if the oven was already to temperature? Right? Like you have, it's like searing but with air. If you bring everything up in a seriously, if you bring things,
Yeah,
if you
no,
bring
no,
everything
no.
up, uh, if everything's like closer in temperature and you bring them up together, wouldn't it cook more evenly? Isn't that
Some
like
things
defrosting but further?
some things you do want to cook that way. Like I've watched some cooking videos where they talk about putting bacon in a cold oven and then you bring it up to temperature.
Hmm.
Um and that's part of the cooking process. But like with chicken, I think one of the things that might happen is the outside gets really dry and crispy, but the inside is still like in salmonella territory.
Interesting. That could be true. Yeah, that could be true.
I've definitely botched meatloaf because I didn't wait long enough.
Oh, I'm so impatient too. It's like, oh, come on, you've got to be done by now,
Phew.
right?
I am the most impatient devil may care person in the kitchen that I've encountered to date because I was making cookies and they're like, butter has to be room temperature. And I'm like, this just came out of the freezer 30 seconds ago. I put it in the microwave for like 2 minutes on a lower temperature or like on a lower power setting. And I'm like, this is fine. It was not fine.
It was not fun.
I also don't set timers.
Mm.
I will try to remember the last time I looked at a clock.
Bold strategy.
Yes.
Wow.
And so far, it's not been the worst.
Hey, I guess. I mean, whatever works. Psychopath. But basically, yeah, I don't know. I set timers. I even like set timers a little extra time, right? A, because I don't believe in preheating, and B, just because I know I'm going to undercook it. So I go a little longer, and then I go and I take it out of the oven, and I stick a thermometer in it, and it's not even close to done. So it's like, what have you been doing in the oven? It just be done. Just cook.
Every time I cook chicken, it's the same thing. Because, like, beef products, I'm like, it can be pink on the inside.
Sure.
Like, are you supposed to have ground beef medium rare? Not typically, but
Yeah.
I can still live with that.
Yeah.
Chicken, it's like hazardous if it's not cooked to temperature.
Exactly.
But why does it take forever for it to reach 165? Why is it when I stick the thermometer in, it's like, ooh, it's like 120. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna bless the food and hope that covers it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always just you don't want to kill yourself. It's so easy. You can just,
Yeah.
no, salmonella. Nice knowing you.
Yeah, and I'm always curious, like, what the threshold between like food poisoning and death is. Like,
Yeah,
when does food actually kill you versus when does it just make you sick?
it's a great question. I mean, obviously, I don't know. Like, I can only I can only assume that food poisoning has to be like infectious, right? Because like I'm just trying to think. Your digestive tract is pretty well self-contained, I mean, by design. So for something to like actually leak out into the bloodstream, that's pretty bad. Obviously your stomach's gonna like switch into reverse gear if it detects something it doesn't like. But I mean, and that's also probably psychological as well. But if it gets to the point where it actually enters your bloodstream, that's probably where the line begins. That's not ideal.
Probably, yeah. Because, like, poison will actually kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Science has showed us this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. To my knowledge, I don't think I've had like a food poisoning experience.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know what causes that, where that comes from.
Yeah. No, I'm not entirely certain either. I assume it's toxins that build up from the decay of food. I guess if you have too much of that,
That would make sense.
and you have a critical mass leak into your bloodstream, and your and then everything that filters your blood, your liver, your kidneys, everything, if it can't deal with it in a good amount of time, then it'll just kill you.
Yeah, that
Maybe.
makes sense. Yeah. No, we've never promised to be a podcast that answers questions. We have always been a podcast that asks questions and then takes our best guess at it based on what we know. And sometimes not even what we know. It's just what sounds okay. If you want science, there are podcasts for that.
There's so many podcasts.
Yes.
Too many. We're part of a problem, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, can we be part of a problem when we just doubled our subscriber count?
I mean, yes. Still, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just I like food in general.
Yeah, food is great.
And I mean, just imagine not eating. Hang on. Imagine not eating. It wouldn't kill you, right? Let's say you were cursed by a witch to like just bippity boppity. You don't need any more food to eat to live, right? You can just survive on air. How? A, it'd be a big time saver, but B, it'd be kind of disappointing, right? Like, oh no, I don't find joy in this meaningless activity. Although I guess it doesn't mean you couldn't eat, it's just that you didn't have to. So then the witch comes back and says, you are having too much fun with your newfound freedom from eating while still enjoying the fruits of, fruit. Why don't we just take that away? So now you can't eat Your stomach doesn't exist. Your tongue doesn't feel anything anymore. That would be pretty bad. That it took a long time to get there, but yeah,
Yeah,
that would be pretty
yeah,
bad.
it would. Yeah, because I think there's like an enjoyable part of eating and consuming things, and sometimes eating is a social activity, and so if you remove like that aspect of social activity, that would suck.
Yeah,
Um, and you'd have to like rewire your brain. You'd have to rewire your day. Like so much of our day just revolves around like waiting until the next mealtime.
uh
Because
huh.
it's like a built-in break even if we have to cook. And so it's like, oh, these these breaks that total anywhere from 45 minutes to 3 hours are suddenly gone from my life now. What do I do with that time? And like, I guess that means you also can't drink anything too, so there's another like social thing that's gone. And
Yeah,
then if you don't have to excrete anything, there goes bathroom breaks. That's more free time. You're just left with all this time that we use for wasting time, for enjoyment, for sustenance, is gone.
just
You've
gone.
been made into a social pariah just by having that basic functionality removed.
Yeah.
This is why robots can never be people.
Yeah, that's the one reason. Yep, you found it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. Is there a robot that eats? I know there are baby dolls that poop, but like, is there? Why would anyone want that? I don't understand why you would want all the joys of imagination and like, oh, look at this, I have a baby, and look, it's all the joys of imagination, and then all the setbacks of actually owning a human child. Like, why would you? Why would you want that? Why would you? I mean, it's right. It does one thing, and that's it. It just poops. There's no depth to these dolls. It's not like it'll grow up into something that you can have a conversation with, right? You're not like it's not actual progeny. So like, why would you ever want one of these toys that poops, a pooping toy? Why exactly?
I yeah, no, I they like built so many like fake babies that did so many, like each individual doll would do something unique to babies, but
Hmm.
there was no like all-encompassing baby doll.
I think they knew that one wouldn't sell.
That's it, yeah.
It's just too much.
take
It's just too
take
much
on the
work.
stress and responsibility of a child, one annoyance at a time. It's like, this is your crying baby, this is your pooping baby, this is your speaking baby.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. I just don't get that. And who? Someone thought it was a good idea at one point, right?
Yes, yeah.
Some toy manufacturing company was like, you know what we should do? We should take these these dolls, right? They've been around forever, and we have the technology now. We've made them talk. We've made them look around. We've made them pretend to sleep. But I feel like something's missing. What can we do to make these babies more realistic? We can make them poop. There's always one guy in the conference room, right?
Oh, yeah. And they're like, Terry,
Terry.
very, very ready with that response. We would kind of like to know what your thought process is. What's the market research?
Look, we said no to those super realistic feet. I think maybe we shouldn't go down this poop thing. It's the same person. Let's be
Oh
clear.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
going to be the same person to come up with the
Yeah.
super realistic feet
Mm-hmm.
and the pooping baby. That's
Mm-hmm. It's like, Terry, maybe you don't need to be on these calls anymore. You don't need to be in these meetings, and it's not that your ideas aren't being heard. Marsha, she's getting all those ideas
yeah.
and she's putting them where they need to go.
Yep.
So we don't need to spend time dwelling on them.
Yeah, yeah. But that's not what happened. They actually made the damn thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not humanity's proudest moments.
No,
No.
no. And there have been many toys that are just like, at no point were they like, hey, What's with this? Why are we doing this?
Like what?
What's um oh goodness, there have been I was even watching a video about it of like toys. I think it was an action figure. And the character would whip out a gun and the gun came from like the pelvic region. Like I can't remember if the character transformed into a gun, but the gun was definitely a penis. The penis was definitely a gun. And I can't think of what the toy was. It's been several years. I think it's like a 25-year-old toy. But
Uh, okay. Um, okay. I guess. So,
mhm.
oh God. Okay. So the toy industry is very, it's very opaque, I think, to everyone. Very nebulous.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I so yeah, so I my step grandfather used to be a big player in the toy industry. I feel like he was actually just a couple months ago was inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame. If anyone knows why these things exist or how, like, the process by which, like, because there are whole, like, marketing teams, um they, research,
Yeah.
focus groups. Is it worse that they came up with the idea, or is it worse that the idea performed well and, like, stuck and made it to market? What does it say?
Hmm.
Something about the company, or does it say something about, the market? I think it's the market's fault, not the company's fault, right? The
I mean,
inherent
yeah.
the inherent the consequence of capitalism is that, companies won't do anything unless it generates revenue, right?
Yeah.
So it has to generate revenue, which means people are buying it, which means people are buying it in enough numbers that it generates a profit, which means people like it. So it's the market's fault. Oh, this has been sad.
Well,
I'm,
it's either the market's fault or it is an issue with the focus groups. They choose an incorrect focus group and that sets them on the wrong path because some things, you market research, you do the focus groups and it comes out no one wants it and so no one buys it. I mean, it's and so it's either focus groups or marketing. Because if something is marketed poorly, it cans it before it even comes out.
it's true. It's true. I guess you're right. I wonder how often you would get such a bad focus group that it yields a result not reflective of the market you're trying to target, right?
Yes. The biggest example of that I can think of is Jennifer's Body, because that film was marketed to an audience that was not going to enjoy it.
Who?
Jennifer's Body, the movie starring Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. That's about like
Jennifer's Body?
yeah,
Is that what it's about?
well, so Megan Fox plays Jennifer, who ends up possessed by a demon, and she like tears out guys' throats, and that's like it's part of the thing. It's like a revenge thing, and it's written by the person who did Juno, and the way the film was marketed was they were marketing towards the demographic that found Megan Fox hot, and so the trailer was just full of like lingering shots of Megan Fox and the kiss between Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried.
Uh huh.
That wasn't what the film was about. And so when it came out to tanked reviews because people are like, what do you mean Megan Fox isn't hot in this movie? What do you mean? What do you mean we can't just ogle and sexualize her for 2 hours? What is this?
I'm reading some of the reviews now. Uh,
It's gotten a bit of like a redemption arc. It's kind of been re-examined recently just because I think it's been 10 years since the movie came out. And so people are giving it an actual fair shake. But yeah, at the time people were not impressed because what they were sold was not what they were given. Because they're like, what do the kids like? They think Megan Fox is hot. What's the movie about? Doesn't matter. We just need cheerleader skirts and girl kisses, and that's all people want.
That's a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes right there. Yeah, that's huh, interesting. I didn't actually know Megan Fox was in anything other than the Transformers. I'm not even entirely certain what she's famous for. I assume she was a model that just happened to act in some things. Oh, she was in A Dictator.
Yes.
As herself, I imagine?
Mm? Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, as herself. One of Sacha Baron Cohen's weaker films, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So gonna avoid that movie, I guess. I don't know. You market something as one thing and then just
And I think movies are probably the thing where that fails the most frequently.
what year did Jennifer's Body come out?
2011?
2009.
Oh, 2009. Okay.
If it came out 5 years earlier, I bet you it would have done better because I feel like those kinds of movies were popular like in the early 2000s instead of the late 2000s.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it would have done well in the same sphere as like Mean Girls. If it had come out that year, I think it would have been just fine.
Yeah, and that was at like the height of popularity of maybe not the height, but this was when like
It was a big time for the high school
yeah.
comedy type movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to what is it? It's coming back though as Netflix TV shows, that entire trope where they cast
Yes.
actors who are far too old to play kids who are far too stereotyped and typecasted into one specific thing.
Yes.
Never fails to piss me off, but I think that
it's
so bad. It's so bad. Stop it.
I think it's one thing if the entire cast is made up of 27-year-olds or if the entire cast is made up of 15-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is when it's a mix because like Grease is one of my favorite movies of all time. The teenagers in that film are played by actors ranging from, I believe, 19 to 33.
Yeah, that's just not going to work. That's just not a...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. Because, like, two characters, yeah, played by actual teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them, not.
Yeah.
And they have a disservice because I think while we still notice it today, it's a lot more obvious in 1978. Because I think people just in general look younger.
Yeah. It's probably true, yeah. Trying to think of, like... Because, recent TV shows, I think, fall into this, like, trap a lot, where they write very one-dimensional characters. But I'm trying to think if that's a recent thing or not. Glee did
Can't
this.
be... Well... where each character is meant to embody an archetype.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably been around as long as, like, TV's been around.
Yeah, but
because like you had
such
the bumbling dad archetype that was Herman Munster, the lead on the Honeymooners, the Simpsons. It was all the same character type, and like the competent put together mom, that was the case on every show.
Okay, so then like I feel like there's a subtle distinction to be made here, though. When it comes to, right, pick a show for which this problem seems problematic.
Oh, I mean, well, you started with Glee, so we can go back to Glee.
All right, let's go to Glee. Will Glee work for the point I'm trying to make? I think so. We'll have to attack this two ways then. Glee painted these very one-dimensional characters. And I think Glee is by far a more recent show than the ones that you just listed, correct? Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the shows I mentioned came out in like 1962, or in The Simpsons, like what, 1989?
I think so, yeah. Okay, so Glee paints these one-dimensional characters. I don't even remember. They only add complexity when they need to. Is really the problem. I'm trying to remember the characters. You have um the teacher,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Shoestring.
Yeah. Mr.
Uh,
Shoe.
and then you got the lead guy. Um, he was probably the most complicated one, just because he was the lead guy. Even though it's an
Yeah.
ensemble cast, there's always a lead. There's always a lead character.
Right. Well, and he didn't, at least from what I've seen of Glee, which is really not much, it didn't seem like Finn had a set, like he wasn't playing a full archetype that I was aware of. Like, sure, he was kind of the jock, but that wasn't his whole thing. Like, he was the jock who sang, which is
ah,
also a trope unto itself.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got the gay guy.
Yes.
Who I think was one of the more from the episodes I've seen, that definitely one of the more poorly written characters. Just from a standpoint of like he's gay. That's it though. He's the gay character. And then I think aren't there like there are a handful of bitchy characters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Glee Club. They're all bitchy, but the don't laugh. You know it's true.
No. Well, because you said like they're all bitchy characters, and I'm like, well, they're all minorities. They're all members of the Glee Club, because that's the only line that I think of
your words
from that show is no. Because Mr. Shu is like, you're all minorities. You're all members of the Glee Club, and it's like, why would you say that?
Such martyrdom. Oh my God, you're all in Glee Club. You must suffer. Okay, but I hope the Glee Club doesn't get gunned down by police in the streets. Yeah, such a horrible plight, the Glee Club. Oh, I'll bet you there was a genocide involving, show choir dancers. Oh, the horror. Oh, so maybe the quarterback won't date you because you're a little bit, you're a little bit of a singer. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I ask this as a former theater kid. Do you think Glee made it okay to be a theater kid? Are theater kids so powerful now because Glee was a thing?
That's a great question. I hope not.
Before Glee came out, it wasn't acceptable to sing at a Denny's at 2 a.m.
It still is not. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. As a former theater kid myself, both a short-time actor, long-time techie, when I see someone break out into song like the stereotypical theater kid, there is no limit to the depth of my cringe. It is just so. It's like I understand. What it is, what it means, how it feels to be an attention-seeking whore. I have been for as long as I can remember. I've just come to terms with this very recently, as a matter of fact. It feels good. And I understand, right? I understand how it feels to be that.
The high is immense.
It's incredible. But is it worth it? You have to have, right, like, in order to be like a societally acceptable attention-seeking whore, you have to have the wherewithal to say, like, if I was looking at myself from the outside looking in, would I want to just like push me off the table? Would I want to just slap me and say, don't. No one wants this. You're talented. You're right. You're talented. People like to hear you in an appropriate setting, but this is not that appropriate setting. 2 a.m. in a Denny's. Anytime at a Denny's. Let's be clear here, right? Don't sing at a Denny's. Please. This hits home because this was. I feel like this was my entire high school theater company.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them that wasn't also moonlighting on tech, right? Because they had some humility. That's why they were on tech. But every single one of them just had this, like, had this mentality. not so strong as like the diva mentality, but I can't even find a word for it beyond attention-seeking whore. The attention-seeking whore without the wherewithal to understand.
I think that's like the complicated part is they do it not even actively seeking attention. It is just a natural exuberance that will not be contained. Cause like attention seeking whores in the theater world, that's common. It's always the girl who sings soprano because she can't read music, having to prove that she can sing and throwing in extra runs. But like theater kids just being loud. Like that's
Yeah, of course
I
that's
understand
common.
a little bit more.
Yes, of course that's. I mean, that's just going to happen. That's the nature of the thing.
Yeah.
But there's a line, right? And I feel like
Oh yeah.
it's very clear when the line is crossed. It's so clear. It's so painfully obvious that even like, you know, the other attention-seeking whores are like, yikes, yikes.
Yeah. And it's so weird because it like just happens from the ages of like 14 to 19.
Yeah.
Where you just don't have it's because it's so weird because from those ages you care so much about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
But man, 2 a.m. at a Denny's on opening night, you do not care what a single person thinks.
That's
you
true.
are going to sing the title song of your show and laugh so loudly.
Yep, I've been there.
And it has exacerbated the smaller the community theater you're a part of. Because the mean-spirited like sense of competition that has when you get to like just a slightly bigger place isn't there yet. So you don't realize you can't actually belt. Stop.
Yeah.
This is not to say that if you can't currently belt that you should stop singing altogether.
No.
Yeah.
It's a skill that you're not going to learn in time for the cast party. Come on. Don't be that person, right? Either you know it or you don't. You practice in your free time. You practice. You don't practice until you get it right with that kind of thing. You practice until you can't get it wrong with that kind of thing because you get up there. You get up to, you know, the karaoke stage or, you know, the Denny's bar stool, and you start and it doesn't go well. The pity claps are enough to send you to an early grave, and deservedly so.
And I mean, like, and that's the weird thing too, is like with karaoke, there is some like measure of expectation that it's not going to be great. It's meant to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Singing in a Denny's, you're convinced it's good.
Yeah. It's like I can't key into it. I don't even know. I can't key into it.
I'm so far removed from that now.
Yeah. Like go ahead.
Because I know I've definitely been that kid. I've been too loud in whatever establishment we go to after a show, caked up with makeup. I totally get that. But now at 24, looking back on that, having not been involved in a theater production for like 2 years, I'm like, nope. Can't.
Yeah.
Cannot.
I think the line is like, you will either take every opportunity you can to perform, or you will start creating opportunities. And that's, I think, the difference, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And to that point, or to the point you just made, rather, like, you're so far removed from it. I don't think the Rose Drama Club had this problem, and if it did, it was so slight it was hardly noticeable, right? That's just another benefit of being in a theater company full of engineers.
Yes.
Back in high school, however, I feel like I was I was so far at the other end of the spectrum that I wrapped around. All of of that made me such a cynical technician, so palpably cynical that I just wrapped back around, and I was like, I don't even know how to describe what that was, but it was nothing short of a power trip. Let's start there,
Oh yeah.
right? You know, you run sound, you're God, right? Like you just
Yeah, like a theater in the dark, like that's avant-garde. A theater with no sound at all.
well, I mean, yes.
It's
There were a couple
pantomime.
there were a couple times where we were forced to not use microphones, which I'm like, yeah, sure, bring it on, let's do it.
Old school, sure.
But no one knows how to project. No one
No.
gets it. No one understands that we can't hear you, right? No one understands that
Right.
school theaters do not get designed correctly. They do
No,
not
they get
carry your
designed for
voice.
basketball games.
Yeah, exactly. They're auditoriums, they're not theaters. So they
Yeah.
expect amplification. That's kind of part of their design, for better or
Yeah.
for worse, or maybe not even intentionally. So yeah. And then, oh my God, I don't know if you've ever been through this. There are a finite number of microphones.
Yes.
Okay. My high school had 18 lavalier microphones. Okay.
That's impressive for school.
It's part of a school district. I don't think they were I don't think a lot of them were permanently ours.
So when you say lavalier, does that mean they went like over the ear, through the wig, whatever, or did you have like clip-ons as well?
Over the ear.
Okay.
Right. They were just wires taped into your face.
Yeah. The classic.
The classic, yes. Sometimes through the wig down here, which I never wanted to do it that way.
It looks so weird. I get that it has benefits, especially where like singing's more of a focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it allegedly gets like the full left and right instead of just the side.
You don't understand the turmoil, or maybe you do, and I'm sorry. You don't understand the turmoil of putting up the microphone list, right? There are 25 people in this show. It's a miracle 18 of you are getting microphones. Then they come up to the booth. They march to the booth while I'm struggling to put microphones on people. And it's like, yeah, oh, but the director said I get this microphone. True story, I'm the third Cinderella sister that she made up
Oh,
Into the Woods. When we did Into the Woods, what are the two sisters' names in Into the Woods? I don't remember.
Oh, that's a good question. Because it's like Anastasia and Drizelda or something. And
I need to
but
know.
I've no idea. I have seen Into the Woods twice, maybe.
Into the Woods.
I'm not a huge Sondheim person. I wasn't aware they got names.
One of them is Lucinda, right? So Lucinda and Florinda.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think it was just Orinda. I think that was the third one. I think that was because I think that was the director's middle name. So it's like, oh, should she get a microphone? And I'm like, we don't have any more microphones. And there's so many characters in Into the Woods, you have to mic them all.
Right, yeah, because they all sing.
And I think this was like just the amount of like pushback I got on that turned me into a cynical sound technician, because that was my first show.
That'll crush you if it's your first.
I was immediately sound master,
no,
right?
yeah.
Because no one else was doing it, and I had just a skosh of experience. So it's like, okay, I guess you're gonna do it. It's like, okay, fine. How hard could it be? The answer is not very hard, but very frustrating. I loved every second of it. Let me be clear. Let me be very clear. Right?
Yeah.
But this is what turned me into, a cynical techie, right? And I saw it happen to other people too. It's no bueno. It's no bueno.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And maybe it's a situation where it's like, I don't know if I want to like go through the trouble of like finding a theater company and meeting new people that way. Or if it's like, actually, can I just get like 20 people that I hand select and we do something on our own?
That's the dream. That's the dream. That's expensive, but that's the dream.
Oh, it's so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's possible, I mean, it doesn't take. I actually have no idea. You need some kind of infrastructure already set up, I think. But once you have that, how hard could it be?
I'm sure it's easy, King. It's easy.
Easy.
Speaking as someone who's well, I've done a handful of aspects of tech, but I've never been in charge of it. It's not that hard to do the technical stuff. They do what they do. They push button, make lights.
Right?
They
Yeah.
push button, make sound. Easy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. When in fact it's difficult, lemon difficult.
Lemon difficult.
What a great movie. But
It's from a movie?
difficult, lemon difficult.
Yeah.
It's where I know it from. From In the Loop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I just absorbed that through memes. I had no idea the memes were referencing anything.
We have a saying in England. We say tricky situations like this are difficult, lemon difficult.
Okay, yeah, no, saying it like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds like In the Loop. That sounds like something Armando Iannucci would say.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Malcolm Tucker is where I learned my creative swearing. Something I was also known for in my high school theater troupe.
There you go. You were on tech, it was allowed.
It was
Expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if a tech person is not running around backstage swearing with a specific person in mind while they do it, did they really work tech?
Exactly. I just want to collect all the microphones because I want to go home. Right? I'm in high school. My parents expected me back at 8. It is now 11. because someone couldn't decide on the goddamn lighting cues.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dry tech was a real wrist slur, but it was still fun. It was still fun.
Yeah, dry tech.
My dad didn't know. My dad didn't get it. My dad didn't understand. He came down. I kept texting him, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're still going. I'm serious. I'm still here. I'm not like on the streets getting high. I'm still here." And he's like, "Can you like talk to the director because like it's fine, but like there should be an end time, right? You're in high school." And I'm like,
"No, there is an end time after the show closes next week."
I don't know if I remember this correctly, but he actually came to school. He brought donut holes
to try and bribe the director.
Well, no, to give to the kids. He didn't like the director, and honestly, who did?
Well.
Because she was a little. I liked her as a person, but like.
Once any person becomes a position of authority, it just gets weird.
It's not even that. It was a matter of. I don't know. She retired the same year I graduated. But and to her credit, things. The next theater director, from what I hear, was the exact opposite. She was competent, made good shows, but was also a horrible person. And the 17 years the previous director had been there, the director that I was working under, she had like bridged the divide that was there between cast and crew, right? Despite my cynicism, despite everyone's like, I can't deal with the the personalities of the cast or the pragmatism and just drudging annoying drudgery of the crew. We were still friends, right? We still got along very well. From what I understand, that all dissolved after the director left and was replaced. And it just got worse and worse. And she was very cast centric. And there wasn't really a strong or existing technical director. So,
and that always sucks. I do always feel bad for tech because, especially when they've been there as long as the cast has, and they've had to put in a ton of work behind the scenes, if the director alienates the crew and there's not that good bridge. It's really easy for the cast kids to get a big head about the crew and just ignore them.
Yep.
And it creates those little pockets, and it's not good.
And that pocket is what seemed to have developed. Yeah, yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, there's still, it's still going on. I think the director's still there. Um, the shows were okay. At least Bye Bye Birdie was pretty good. I only went back for like 1 year to see the shows. Bye Bye Birdie was good. For some reason, I have this written down on the paper in front of me. Fools by Neil Simon. I think someone told me recently that was a really, 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 really bad play that Neil Simon only wrote, so that in a divorce his wife got like just this horrible, horrible play. I think is the story.
Oh.
And they put it on, and I didn't when she was describing it to me, I had no idea that I had seen this play and that they had put it on. And it's like, oh yeah, that was a really rough play to sit through. That wasn't great. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was very bad actually. But yeah, I don't know. God, a lot of memories. That was 3 years of my life that I just, it was fine. Whatever.
Yeah. No, and looking back, there's some really cool things that happened in theater, and I'm glad that that was like my chosen hobby and such. Even through like the worst year of it, and just like the ensuing fallout and closing that all closing that chapter of my life, it was still really cool. And there is cool things that happen with theater, and it's impressive that people do that much and they can create something like that, and usually in a very short turnaround.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are like formative years, pockets, eras of your life that even though they sucked just absolute monkey dick, you just can't help but like you still look back. It's like I still wouldn't trade it for anything better.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of experience there that for which that is true.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's really cool to be exposed to like different kinds of art and to be a part of that, like whatever level you do things at, whether if you're just, run crew for the week of the show, whether you're, background characters, or, you're having to be in every scene possible. It's still really neat.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Yeah. And I think it really depends on like, the people you're around as well, because, theater is made of people.
Yes.
So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's a very unique experience. And even for some people who wouldn't initially think about going into it, they end up really, really enjoying it, either the acting side or the technical side.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are several people actually I can think of that went into tech thinking like, yeah, all right, I'll do it just because I know some people here, and they end up like really, really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's
I think if anyone wants to do theater for the rest of their life, they should do tech at least once, just to
100%.
see that side of it and to have a better appreciation of what tech does. Like I understand that we're told is like regardless of what someone does, you should respect it. You don't have to experience it to respect it, but I do think it helps.
100%. Yeah.
At the very
empathy
least,
is gained. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you can have respect and be thankful for what tech does if you're an actor, but I think it's not until you actually work tech and see how actors are that you actually change your behavior as an actor to reflect that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And poop, I was going to make a point, but I completely forgot it. Oh well. Oh well. Guess it wasn't that important.
I always hate that.
Yeah, just boop, gone. Bye. And like sometimes you remember it again, but most times it's just Gone forever. What happens in the head?
Yeah,
Make you drop that.
Yeah, it gets supplanted with a different thought, and you're like, well, I guess this is what I'm going to talk about now.
And it's interesting because, like, everything's building blocks. You gotta wonder, like, what physical processes, like electrically, are going on in the brain that cause that to happen. Because you have to think, like, the brain is, millions upon millions of neurons, and all they do is fire between each other.
Yeah.
So there's got to be, like, what is the, like, you have that level. What's the level above that? There's got to be, like, so many levels between those. Maybe I'm thinking about this too much like a software engineer, but there's got to be layers between those before you get to, like, thoughts you can hear in your head that, like,
Yeah.
and fleeting
Like
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this today because I went to a bookstore, and because, like, I'd brought a bunch of books to sell. And so as I'm wandering through the shelves of the children's section specifically, because I wanted to find this book that I read as a kid that I thought was based on real events because they had black and white photos in it. They had, like, names and there were, like, dates. And I'm like, there's no way this is fiction. Because I can remember sitting in, like, my mom's office chair in front of Wikipedia, typing these names in, and nothing was coming up. And I'm like, what is this? And I can't think of the name, the cover, the author, any of the character names. I'm like, but why can I remember, like, the color schemes and the pictures and some of those details? But, like, what happened in the story? Not at all. I just remembered thinking it was real.
Memory. Don't lose it.
Oh, yeah.
Bad news if you lose it. Yeah.
Big fear.
Yeah. Same.
Alzheimer's is, like, my least favorite way to go.
That's yeah.
At least in
common.
Of the ways that are not freak accidents. Least favorite way to go.
I would say a freak accident might even be better.
If it would be over quickly, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you listen to Everywhere at the End of Time by The Caretaker?
No.
It's a 6.5 hour long album.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. I just found out about that. Yeah. It's
pretty good.
Unnerving. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah. That's it's a very long album. So long.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I think it's very well done.
Mm-hmm. And I think stuff like that is good to maybe just bring up so that it's at the forefront of what people think about. Because, like, Alzheimer's isn't, like, a sexy disease. That sounds weird. But in the sense that there aren't a lot of advocates for it, because it's like, well, it's old people.
Yeah.
Why are we really going to do anything for them? But, like, early onset Alzheimer's, like, that can hit you when you're 50.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still the same amount of time. You're just done going through the stages when you hit 70 instead of it starting at 70.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, again, because it's old people, it doesn't have, like, a lot of cool and flashy promotion for it.
Yeah.
But it's a scary one.
It's no childhood cancer. That's
What are they gonna make a wish for? Can't meet the childhood hero.
That's very true. Boy. Boy, it was going so well.
Speaking of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who are we sponsored by today?
Excellent question. I'm so glad you asked. Speaking of pooping babies, this episode of Steaming Pile, this one you're listening to right now, is brought to you by wheredobabiescomefrom.org, a small organization founded in the mid-1960s in Rochelle, Nevada. Their website claims that the theories about sex and pregnancy are all a government hoax, since they've been trying to do that method for years, and their population continues to decline. With just around 50 inhabitants left, the denizens of Rachel, Nevada, or is it Rochelle? Not clear, are desperate for answers. Numerous theories, such as alien egg harvesting and governmental reproductive suppression, have all been floated past, but they're all supported, right, by the fact that the town is the closest town to Area 51. Critics claim that the entire town was sterilized in the 1960s and beyond due to nuclear bomb tests. But I mean, what do they know, right? Certainly not where babies come from. To join the cause, go to www.wheredobabiescomefrom.org to get a free DVD explaining the intent of the organization and how you can donate your time and resources. That's www.wheredobabiescomefrom.org.
You know, that's great. That's really good of them, especially since Yahoo Answers is going away. I feel like people need a source to answer that question now more than ever.
Rest in peace, Yahoo Answers.
Very generous of wheredobabiescomefrom.org.
Yes. Do appreciate it. What are kids nowadays going to do when they have a question? Like, if they type in have you ever typed in word for word a question from your homework and got a Yahoo Answers result back, and it's like, thank you, God.
They're gonna have to go to like Quora or something.
Oh God, that cesspool. Oh no,
I know, right? It's not
the next generation is screwed.
They're gonna think they're gonna be looking up like funny Quora answer compilations. No, the people on Quora had fear. They had decorum. Yahoo Answers didn't have that.
Sure not.
What should we find at the bottom of the steaming pile but the corpse of Yahoo Answers?
Long live Yahoo Answers. Big sad.
Big sad. But this has been another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I've been Lauren.
And I've been Tucker.
And we will see you all next time.